Welcome back here in the room and all the audience from remote to our next GNF session, which is organized by our GLEX 2021 sponsor, Airbus Defence and Space, and it is titled Global Exploration at the Crossroad, the Role of Europe. This exciting session will be moderated by Pierre-Alexis Joumel, Director International and New Business, Space Systems, Airbus Defence and Space, and we are welcoming all speakers that are connected from remote. Pierre-Alexis, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Christian, and thank you to the IAF and Roscosmos for organizing and hosting this great event here in St. Petersburg. Welcome all to this very interesting GNF about the role of Europe in the space exploration. I'm very happy to be here with you, and I'm honored to be your moderator today. So today we will be connected with a few countries, France, I think Paris, and Germany, Bonn and Bremen. We are here today to discuss about how Europe is contributing and leading space exploration. Indeed, we see many institutional and commercial initiatives worldwide targeting the low Earth orbit, the moon, or beyond. Europe is already a leader and a key partner on programs such as the ISS, Artemis, and in launchers. The discussion of today will provide you with more insights on what is coming next. So let me introduce you our great panelists who are connected remotely. Let me start with Silvio Sandron, who leads the new space exploration programs of Airbus, creating missions, vehicles, and technologies to make human expansion into space possible and sustainable. He worked previously in launchers, meteorological satellites, and human spaceflight in a variety of roles, both in industry and government, in several places across Europe. Hello, Silvio. Hope you can hear us well.
Hi, Pierre-Alexis.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody.
Next is Volker Schmidt. He's aeronautical engineer and space system engineer, and is employed at the German Space Agency, DLR. He's German ESA delegate at the Program Board of European Utilization Board, involved in ATV and responsible for the national part of both ISS mission of astronaut Alexander Guest, and is one of the fathers of the Simon project. Hello, Volker.
Hello together.
And the last speaker, Stéphane Demey, is a senior strategy officer of the Directorate of Human Spaceflight and Robotic Exploration Programs of the European Space Agency, where he coordinates the strategy area for human and robotic exploration. In this role, he is also representing the Directorate in relevant European and international strategic networks, such as the International Space Exploration Coordination Group. Hello, Stéphane.
Good day to all.
So thank you very much for all be connected. So let's get started with the first roundtable question. I will move the slide. Just before we go on the first question to the audience, you can interact with us. Please go on slido.com, hashtag GLEX 2021, and put your question. We'll try to address them at the end. We've got a short GNF, but we'll try to take a few questions. All right, so first question. I mentioned before all the current space exploration initiatives that are happening worldwide, and also looking at the current geopolitical situation. What are the European ambitions? What is the place of Europe in space exploration? So maybe to start, Stéphane, if you have a few thoughts about that, and then same question to Volker and Silvio. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question, and it's a very timely question. Because at ESA, we're currently working together with our stakeholders, member states, and with industry on our long-term strategy. And I have one slide I would like to share with you. showing our ambition and the place of Europe in the coming 2 decades. So the first decade now until 2030, and then the next decade from 2030 to 2040. And for this decade until 2030, actually our missions are defined, and at Space 19 Plus, our previous ministerial council, we have made decisions for embarking in new projects, and you see that here on the left side of the slide. The position of Europe in exploration here is in a mutual interdependent setting in cooperation, where we provide essential parts of missions that are done in cooperation. And of course, the ISS continues from the past, but then we go to cislunar space. Our contribution to the Orion capsule with the European Service Module is a very important contribution. And we also start now working on the gateway elements we will contribute. And then for Mars, we continue, of course, ExoMars missions in cooperation with Roscosmos, and we've set with our colleagues in NASA the next big step, which is the Mars sample return. So that's for the next decade, where we're clearly stepping up our ambition. But then in our long-term strategy for the decade after, from 2030, we even want to go further and have also European-led capabilities. We want to have more autonomous missions. And this is not in contradiction with the cooperation. We want certainly to further cooperate. Exploration is a global endeavor, but by being more autonomous, we will be able to have more European-led missions with new partnerships. And at the same time, our autonomous capabilities will allow to also take a very strong position in the existing partnerships and in the next steps where we want to play a significant role on the exploration scene. I will not go into the details of all the icons, but clearly transportation is a very important element. Habitation, surface mobility, astronauts, those are all elements of this strategy in all the 3 destinations, LEO, Moon, Mars, which we give a place in our long-term strategy. I think with this, I stop here to give the opportunity to the others, and maybe we can go in detail at a later point.
Volker, the view of DLR.
Yes, thank you very much. I agree to what has been said by Stefan. That is the outline for the next decade, and certainly in the next year, European member states of ESA will decide how to outline and how to finance the next period of the European Exploration Framework Program. As said, that we have some interesting and critical elements, such as the ESM, the Orion, the European Service Module for the Orion capsule. So here, the partnership with NASA has been proven on ATV shoulders, so to say, and this is a very good development, and one which we are as Europeans on the critical path together with NASA. So this is something to build on and to go further. And then the ambitions, I think, more from a German perspective. Germany is interested in moon activities, lunar surface, and this is also reflected in the European Exploration Framework Program, E3P, with the start of a robotic lunar mission together with France and other member states. So this is the next step, and certainly one of the most important ones is the ongoing of the exploration and utilization of low Earth orbit to prove and to build on new technologies, to test technologies, use ISS and maybe in future infrastructures in low Earth orbit as a stepping stone for and a technology test bed. Thank you. That is all for now from my side.
Thank you, Volker. Silvio, the view of European industrial Airbus?
Yes, so we are a bit more impatient maybe. You know, in each area of space activity for which a strong political vision and imperative have been articulated, European ambitions are very clear. You won't have to ask this question. And the achievements follow. Now, European exploration program is not underpinned by such a strong political imperative today, which is not to say there's no strategy, of course. And of course, our programmatic achievements are impressive. But they consist today exclusively of elements we provide to other nations' missions and spacecraft. It's good, but we think it's not enough. And it has to change. It has to change before 2030. And I am confident it can change and it will change. So what is Europe's role on the moon? Well, if we, meaning the world's space power, collect successful, the question would be superfluous. You know, in Earth observation, in launchers, in navigation, in telecommunications, there is no predefined role for Europe or for any other space nation. We all aim for the full spectrum of capabilities. And we do this because we want to be able to do certain things without asking anybody's permission. But also because we want to cooperate. And you are a better partner when you are capable of being an equal partner, when you are a valuable partner, not when you only depend on others and you supply bits and pieces. So all the leading spacefaring nations of the Earth, Russia, the United States, China, India, and I hope Europe too, are heading to the moon. It's not only about science, it's political. We will compete on the moon and we will cooperate on the moon. And I think that it is this mix that will make us all collectively more resilient and our joint lunar expansion more sustainable. Over to you, Pierre-Alexis.
I think that's also a perfect transition to the next question. You were mentioning the need of a political vision. So how do you see the collaboration in Europe between the European Commission and the European Space Agency in space exploration? Is it an opportunity for Europe? Maybe, Stefan, the view of the European Space Agency on this?
I think that's indeed a very good transition from the previous question and already the words from Silvio. And I would emphasize what was mentioned in the past. The European Union and ESA, the European Commission and ESA, have been extremely successful in flagship programs like Copernicus and Galileo, and that has positioned Europe as leaders in those fields with our systems, which have market share on a global scale. If we want to step up exploration and keep our place and grow our place in exploration, we will have to do a similar thing in exploration, and that's a political decision. So there, it is an opportunity to work with the commission, but I would say it's even more than an opportunity. It's a necessity for all those reasons, because it's political. And we could look into new flagships, and our Director General has taken an initiative with the Commission to have a summit next year, where we may propose a new flagship that can be anything, can be also in Earth observation or navigation, but why not in exploration? So that is really an opportunity from our perspective. How that will be practically implemented, that's of course the other side of the coin. But I don't think that's an important discussion at this point. The most important part is first to have this political support for a vision for space in Europe that encompasses all sectors and domains.
Thank you. Volker, any thought as well?
Yes, I think it's a good opportunity, and as it was said, that first of all, certainly a kind of strategy is important to align European Union and ESA, and also the member states, of course. But in general, in the wider term, we think it's a good opportunity. Also to include other member states which are not part already of ESA or of space activities in Europe. So, and the efforts are such that maybe European, or in a European sense, it could be possible then to make new resources available, new funding available, and once the strategy is set, so that such efforts like Moon or Mars exploration could be brought to a wider basement, to a more stable basement in the long term, because that is important for such endeavors. And absolutely clear. As said, it's an opportunity. One should not forget that it should be also efficient, and not to lose the efficiency factors we have already in place in the running system, so to speak. That should be transferred then to the new setup in the future. So that I think it's important point. Thank you.
Silvio, your view?
I think Stefan referred rightly to past successes or present successes like Copernicus and Galileo. And as an industrial, I may not be smart enough for the institutional subtleties, but in my view, it's very simple. The European Commission is the executive of the EU, and it can therefore, as it has done already in the past for other topics, articulate the political vision that we lack in exploration today. And it can back it up with the full political by union, as it did for Galileo and Copernicus. And of course, as Volker mentioned, ESA is the best organization in Europe for creating and running complex programs. And so they will be charged of turning the political imperative, the political vision, into reality. Thank you.
Thank you all. Let's move also on the third question, which is very interesting because it's talking about commercialization. Looking at the European business environment, how space exploration, industrialization, and commercialization can be developed in Europe, and for the space agencies, and how are you supporting and also contributing to this ecosystem? Volker, a few ideas on that?
Yes, certainly. Unfortunately, we are not in the same playground than the United States in terms of commercialization, but ESA has also made big efforts to commercialize more and more, or to make this access available, for instance, on the International Space Station. And this is with a good success so far. Also, DLR had initiatives in the past to strengthen the commercial or industrial motivated research, but this could also be improved. And this is a hope that more and more companies want to invest in the space environment, which is today not so easy in Europe. Because I think there is not the same constraints like in the US, for instance, to do that, to make it possible. So and that could be improved in the future to be it on the legal side, be it on the process side, to make faster access to space or to experiments possible. So this is a process, and my hope is that Europe gets step by step on the same level than maybe in the United States. That will take a bit, but hopefully we are there one day. Thank you.
Silvio, any point from the industry?
Well, each time we step into a new dimension, be it Earth orbit, be it the Atlantic Ocean at the beginning of the 15th century, it starts because the public hand plays a role, a leading role. And in particular, it has to open the way, because if you don't know if there are any returns, you don't invest, and lower the barrier, the technical, the operational barrier for private players to join in, to invest, to innovate. So to achieve this on the moon, which is probably the place where industry and the private economy will boom, 3 capabilities are needed, and we think Europe should develop them quickly, well before 2030 or 2040. The 3 capabilities are being able to on your own, because if you can't, all the rest is moot. And so, of course, the large European lander that Volker mentioned is a key element. The second element is to be able to live off the land, because if you need to bring everything you need each time, and if you cannot survive the 2 weeks of lunar night, then it remains just a research outpost, and it never turns permanent settlement, maybe even just robotic, but a settlement nonetheless, that can operate continuously for science, for government, and for business. And the third one, it's massive bandwidth, so that whatever we have on the moon, whatever the private sector has on the moon, it is going to be accessible and enjoyable and utilizable by our scientists, by our governments, by our business, and by our fellow citizens. So with these 3 capabilities, European public hand can really get a lunar ecosystem going. So you have that going, you also have all the cards for a very fruitful international cooperation.
Thank you, Silvio. Before moving to Stéphane, I would like to thank Jean Blouvac from GLEX to be able to join the discussion. I will introduce you right after. Maybe Stéphane, if you want to continue on your idea, and then I will go back to you, Jean. So Stéphane, your view on this.
Okay, yeah, it's a very important topic. We've shown that there is an ambition in Europe, and we're trying to build a strategy and a vision, but that ambition should be equally applied in all evolutions that are ongoing currently in exploration. So also in the commercialization and industrialization component or dimension. And I have a very easy way to answer this question, because with our Director General's Agenda 2025, he has already indicated elements to concretely support this. And one element is, for instance, that he sees the European Space Agency as a catalyst, as a technical partner for interacting with investors and helping our industry to get the necessary investments in new technologies and new services. And it can help creating markets for space technologies serving green and digital agendas, so with direct benefits for citizens. But if we then concentrate more on the exploration side, as already mentioned, we have taken small steps in commercialization, successful, but we need to do more. On ISS, we have a few services already installed. We're working on the demand side with the Business in Space Growth Network, and that we need to continue. And our commercial partnership model needs to be further utilized to be a pathfinder for new procurement models and cooperation models. And then what we do have in Europe is we have excellent engineers and inventors and innovators, and we have to support them. So in our Agenda 2025, our DG hammers on that point by saying that we have to double the spending on game-changing technologies. And that's not different for exploration. So in our current expert program, which covers the technology developments, we should do a similar effort in investing in game-changing technologies. And then just to resonate with what Silvio mentioned, transportation is ultimately important to play a role and to be credible. So our lunar lander is a really necessary step in that direction, but also in communication with Lunar Pathfinder and the Moonlight, we're looking into that direction. I'll stop here.
Thank you, Stéphane. So before I give you the floor, Jean, let me introduce you to the audience. So Jean Blouvac is a program manager for human spaceflight and exploration activities at GNF, the French Space Agency. He's French delegate at European Space Agency Human Spaceflight Microgravity and Exploration Program Board and French representative at the International Space Exploration Coordination Group. Thank you again for being there. We were discussing about industrialization and commercialization, the third topic of our agenda. If you have a few thoughts, a few ideas, please share with us, Jean.
Do you hear me correctly?
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Sorry to be late for connecting, but it was very difficult this morning. With regard to industrialization, commercialization, maybe the first thing to note is, as Stéphane said just a few minutes ago, that Europe has a very great asset and is at the top front for exploration in this domain. It is very important to note that, but maybe for the future it's not sufficient. We should go on in that domain. We should help that domain. Everybody should participate. It's not only institution which will help, of course, but also industry by themselves could improve and give some new idea and new innovation in that domain. Maybe the best way to increase that, of course, is to federate some communities. That's something that we are doing in France with some creation of institute. For instance, for the moon, the Moonshot Institute that we created with some research and technology agency. And also we think that with all new challenges, with all new incubators that are set in front of that, this will allow to bring some new players in that domain that will exchange, will benefit, of course, of all the experience of the already industry in place. And from that, of course, we will benefit, and Europe will take all its seats in that important domain for the future of space. Maybe I can stop there and follow the next. Thank you.
Thank you. So before we move forward, I would like to remind the audience that you can send your question on slido.com, hashtag GLEX 2021. Now I will take a few from the audience. So the first one that I will pick is, I think we were mentioning the topic of human spaceflight in Europe. So is there any ambition for ESA to lead human spaceflight endeavor in cooperation with US, Russia, and maybe new partner like China, India? Any thought about it?
Yeah, maybe I can start if you wish. Well, at ESA, we're in human spaceflight, and we of course have the ambition, as shown, to continue in human spaceflight. And one element for human spaceflight, which is the element, is getting our astronauts in orbit. So if we want to be serious in exploration, that is a capability that sooner or later will have to be considered. And I think today it's the right time to reconsider that. and also have that at the highest political level considered. So yes, we should have that ambition and work together on that.
Thanks. Jean, any view from CNES?
Oh, this is an important topic. Of course, the ambition may be there. What is maybe more difficult is the affordability to develop that kind of possibilities. Maybe we can strengthen our participation using the kind of barter and cooperation we have until now, and think about it for maybe a longer time. But of course, this is a very interesting topic. It has the reverse concern to be very expensive, so that's one difficulty to develop it.
Volker?
Yes, thank you. As Jean said and Stefan, Europe has made in the past some efforts, instance, to make it as a capsule or as a space transportation system. And as it was said, it was not affordable at that time, and because it cost a lot of resources for a long development time. And this brought or will bring me back to what we discussed earlier, this European strategy. So once maybe that is a part of a European strategy to have human access or human space transportation, then it could help, and then it is in a different context as it was 10 years ago maybe. But still, the affordability is a big point, and member states need to tackle this and do we want it or not? That is the case. It's a political decision in the end, and spaceflight is not a technical issue in most cases. That can be solved as from an engineer's view, if you allow. But the affordability and the political will to do that in Europe, that is a key issue which have to be asked and to be answered, hopefully by our member states. Thank you.
Okay. Silvio?
I think all the important messages have already been provided by our agency colleagues.
So I will pick another question. I think it's Stefan, you mentioned, I think at the beginning, partnerships. Space is all about international cooperation. So which new or future partnership you see on which program, on which topic, in order to place Europe in international programs? So there are already some on ISS, on Artemis. Do you see partnership with other nations? We mentioned some before. What's your view on this international collaboration?
Well, I'll pick one obvious one, and it has already been mentioned. If we have our own autonomous transportation capability to the lunar surface, we will be a strong partner in the Artemis program, and we will develop that partnership further. But at the same time, because that is not a single mission but a capability, we may also set up new partnerships with whoever is interested in flying a payload or instruments to the lunar surface. So it opens up an avenue for cooperation with emerging countries who might want to partner with us to get their instrument to the lunar surface.
Thanks. Volker, view from DLR partnerships?
Yes. Well, we have proven partnerships and hopefully new opportunities in the future. And well, it's again a process to develop such partnerships. We do that via ESA, we do that bilaterally, and the proven ones, the very good ones, we rely on that we also want to keep and to further develop into the future. So, but we are not we are welcoming new partnerships as well, of course, and that has to grow. And to make this possible, Europe needs to develop and to invest in technology, because, as it was said before, if you are respected as a worthable partner, you have to have capabilities which others haven't. So this makes then your role as partner interesting, and in many fields or disciplines. We have to work to reach a certain point to be attractive. In a lot of fields we are attractive, and we are good and reliable partners, be it for instance the International Space Station for more than 20 years now. So and yeah, welcome new partnerships. That's I think important and necessary, but it has to grow step by step by step.
Okay.
Thank you.
Jean, last view on this?
Yes, thank you. So, of course, partnership is of the utmost importance in that domain, notably when we are thinking to the long future with maybe a travel to Mars, where it will be absolutely necessary to have the largest participating people. Which what is very interesting is to see that within the frame of ISEC-G, we have now more than 26 agencies that are present in that domain. So meaning that it will allow more and more partnership and possibilities in the short term.
And maybe last word, Silvio, maybe more on industrial partnership in our case.
Yeah, you know, I think the moon is a great place for cooperating, because it is not a vehicle. You know, when you cooperate like on the space station, it's a very closed system. It's a vehicle. So you need to really agree in advance who docks with what, when, etc. On the surface of a body, it's much more open. And if you agree on some technical standards so that you can plug systems from different countries, if you can provide resources that you have extracted and processed on the moon, if you can fly each other's equipment because the interfaces are common, cooperate as you go. For me, the good example is civil aviation. You know, worldwide cooperation is based on standards and interoperability, and within that framework, then industry is able to cooperate and to compete. So you have airline alliances, for example, that compete against other airline alliances. You have, for example, Boeing and Airbus competing in the aircraft making business, but behind Airbus and Boeing, you also have a very thick industrial ecosystem, which is global, and these companies sell to both primes. And as a matter of fact, even Boeing sells to Airbus and Airbus sells to Boeing. So once you have the rules, once you have in each country the ability to be autonomous, then there is a potential for cooperation that you don't need to think and plan in detail beforehand, that you can do and expand and improve as you go.
Thank you very much, Silvio, for these last words. So we are already at the end of the session. It was very interesting. So I would like to thank all of you, the panelists, to be there, to share your thoughts with us, to the audience here in St. Petersburg and also virtually. And I would like to thank again the IAF and Roscosmos for organizing and hosting this event. Thank you very much all, and have a good day. Last word for Christian.
Thank you very much, Pierre Alexis, for this excellent moderation, and a big thanks to our remote speakers for being with us. And we move on with our GNF program, and we will be back with you just in 1-2 minutes with another interesting GNF session informing about the Turkish National Space Program. Give us just 1-2 minutes.